GTII pretty much met the targets that we were talking about on Friday. Let's go ahead and go over the potentials for the next days now. What is up, you guys? Thank you so much for stopping by once again. This is ARCa coming at you with a GTII technicals, raw price action, and statistical threat of analysis on this happy Monday. Before we get started, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share the video with a friend so that you and them could consider joining our trading community in Discord called ARCa Bulls. With that said, let's dive right into the charts. So I have to be incredibly honest right now, you guys. I was recording GTII, the video. I was 11 minutes in and I noticed that the screen was recording this screen. It was recording Viri the whole time, right? So remember that I've been facing some technical issues here, and I finally got my 3 screens up, and now I have the Stream Deck loaded up with the different screens, right? So I didn't switch over to the GTII, and I noticed right on my streaming software that I'm recording VRI while 11 minutes into GTII. My goodness. Okay, so let's go ahead and pretend that didn't happen, and we're about to do this for the first time ever after the weekend. All right, so what's up, guys? Let's go ahead and take a look at this now. Oh my goodness, what a bunch of foolery. Okay, so anyway, the reason why I'm bringing you here to the 12-hour chart is because there is a dead cat bounce, right? So this is usually what happens after a capitulation event. And luckily for us, there is a price objective to be looked at from here. So usually you would take that price objective from the top of the dead cat bounce all the way to the relevant support that would have the most touches of support, right? So in this case, you can see this candle here, so that would be the more relevant support there. This candle here doesn't have really anything connecting to it. In fact, it might, but it's a little forced, right? This one here, it's slightly off from the bottom sides of those. It is touching the resistance of this one here, so that's nice. So literally all of these supports have 2 touches each. This is one of them, okay? So it's very particular, actually, the way I'm looking at this one here, as the price action would highly likely lead to around the, let's see, the valuation of about 81.80, right? So if we take into consideration the target that we were looking at on Friday, the 83, this red line here, the 83.01, there is a lot kind of rhyming within that target, right? This low of this candle here, in fact, we can see that right up here in the OHLC, right? These little tiny digits. I literally can't make those any bigger than they are. I don't know why. But you can see the low of this candle here is 82 cents. And we're already being suggested from the psychological price objective of the dead cat bounce to be 81.80. So pretty much 82, right? We do have a very similar bottom side here of this one here, this candle here, leading to 81 cents, right? So lots of support within that area there. I'm not saying that we're going to bounce to the upside from that zone. I'm just saying that there likely could be, you know, a small temporary bounce before testing the resistance of that 92, I would say about 92.35 before a continuation and seeing what would happen then. So, I want to also talk to you about the comparison of the support between the 3-day time frame and the 12-hour, right? So remember, we're getting that 81.80 from the psychological target, and now the bottom side of the support that we've been looking at for quite some time here is 82.09. Considering the bottom side of this candle here, and the bottom side of even this candle here, lots of support touches getting very close to that zone here. Even the opening of this candle here landing just ever so shy of that 81.30, right? So this one, especially this, getting so close to that price objective of the dead cat bounce at that 81.80, right? So yeah, again, I'm not saying that we can bounce from this area to finally, reach the moon. I'm just saying that is a very relevant area to look at. Now, I remember actually just I remember about 3 weeks ago, I'm not sure exactly when it was, but we did get, a bounce to the upside from the bottom side of about 95 cents, I think, 94, right? And people were saying, ARCa, I was waiting for your 70-cent target so that I can get long this asset and, take it to the moon, right? So, man, it's the 70-cent target is not so far-fetched from this current situation. I mean, first of all, we're at 85, right? We even faced the bottom side today. of 84, 82. Right. So now, considering that we did get that downside, let's go ahead and move over to the monthly time frame to just look at how pertinent that can be. Right. So notice here that we have 17 days and 18 hours to close this monthly iteration here. So if we were to consider a continuation to the downside and face the secondary support of this ascending triangle here, this support right over here, right, this line, you can see that very bottom side support, which could be landed right over here. Apologies, guys, my window is definitely open right now because it is hot, and especially since I've been working on these screens for quite some time. My goodness. All right, so yeah, you can see right at about here that it's either 69.90 or at about 70.08, right at the support line of this bottom side of the triangle, right? So I'm not saying that we're going there again. I'm just saying that if price action did decide to go there, then there could very likely be a serious bounce from that zone, as it would be touching from one of the strongest demand zones that GTI has to offer from the present price action here, right? So from the last couple of years or few years, right? So what I want you to also notice here is, of course, we have one more demand zone, right? This is the very obvious 45-cent bottom that we faced before that $9 run to the upside, right? So just know that is also a potential, right? So the range between that would be the demand zone of that, right? Of course, would be 45.09 to 55.57, which would also mark the invalidation zone of this current range, right? So failing anything below that 45-cent level could lead to some supports to some areas that we dare not speak of right now. Okay, you guys. So I am noticing that GTII is incredibly oversold. So with any catalyst, this thing can run to the upside. Please remember that we do have that Fed meet coming up on Wednesday. Okay, you guys. So anything under the sun, any ticker under the sun can bleed if they do rate hike. Okay, this is one of the most important meets that we're going to have. At least in 2 years, because this is where 67% of the sentiment is considering or suggesting that we may face the first pause in rate hikes, right? So if we do get a pause in rate hikes, the markets can very likely rally to the upside, thus pressuring everything to the upside as well, right? So the only the only thing we'd have to look at is if they do rate hike, then the markets can seriously capitulate to reevaluate itself back to a mean, right? Which could be we're at around $430 something SPY right now. That could really dip down to around 414. 417, right around there. So that kind of pressure to the downside would pressure everything under the sun. Okay, you guys. So I would be very careful as to how we are trading, right? So again, I'm going to mention this is just this is very obvious. This is something that I look at as a trader, right? Declining price, declining volume. That usually indicates that there is, there could be a reversal coming in, right? But again, we're talking about the monthly time frame here, so time is relative at this point. It's super, super far away, right, you guys? But let's go ahead and continue on the analysis here and take a look at our RSI to see what we have for the immediate short term, right? Even that. So the 30-minute immediate short term time frame is suggesting a little bit of a downside here, which is okay because the SMA 14, represented by the pink line, is within the gravitational zone of the bearish control zone. Okay, so we very likely could find a bounce from there and continue on to the upside. But remember, this is 30 minutes. It lives out really fast. We would need an exponential liftoff from that 30-minute that would essentially start affecting the upper term timeframes, like the hourly, the bi-hourly, into the 4-hour, and then the 4-hour would cascade into the upper timeframes, right? So now let's look at that bi-hourly time frame right here. You can see that the bi-hourly still has a downside pivot as well. It is not in the gravitational zone there, but that would be a dangerous area to kind of go in, right? So about 32%, we could definitely face a downside there, but we have been rejecting it now 2 times, right? So as the SMA 14 gets closer to the RSI signal, that becomes a little more dangerous, right? So let's look at the 6-hour time frame. You can see that the 6-hour now is starting to kind of pivot its way around. It's not suggesting such an aggressive downside here, but that only means that it could be a gradual decline, right? So now let's go to the 12-hour time frame, and as you can see here too, it's not an aggressive downside. Again, just a very, very I would say forgiving decline here, and please forgive my words there, and I don't mean that with any type of intention. I really am talking about the downside perspective here from the RSI signal, right? As it isn't capitulating like this here. Right, so the decline, the degree with this here compared to this is absolutely not the same, which is a good thing, right? So as it is kind of falling into the monthly suggestion to where we have that declining volume, declining price, suggesting a potential reversal. Okay, you guys, so now look at the daily time frame. It is also suggesting a downside here, but if we get very close and start looking at it, there could be a pivot right here. It could start looking like we may face a bottom side soon. Right, again, slow decline within that RSI signal as well. By daily time frame, same situation as the daily, same situation here on the 3-day with a very steady and slow decline. And then as you jump into the 5-day time frame, you can see here that this is more consolidation than anything, right? So this is very, very good for us to have at least on our side, right? So we're going to have to continue looking at the potentials within GTII, okay, you guys? But now you know my overall lowest targets and my overall support. Right, so please remember to practice risk management and always do your due diligence. Okay, you guys, please remember first and foremost that I am not a financial advisor. Take whatever I do show and iterate within these videos as just a form of entertainment, as I cannot suggest for you to buy, sell, or hold any assets whatsoever. I need you to do your own due diligence and everything will be cool. Okay, you guys. But with that said, I wish you well, a very, very good night, and I will catch you at the bell mañana. Adios.